This is Local Matters on CBS 17 News at 4.
The keeper of the public purse will soon be someone else. As of January, Brad Briner will be North Carolina's new treasurer.
The current treasurer, Dale Folwell, is wrapping up 2 terms in that office, and CBS 17's Russ Bowen had a chance to sit down with him. And Russ, he's been a Local Matters guest quite a few times with you.
Indeed, he has been, but this time Treasurer Folwell takes a look back at his political career. Your last day as state treasurer, December 31st, January 1st, state employees have a new health plan. Talk to me about how we got there. And would you say this is one of the biggest achievements that you've made in your tenure?
Well, there are lots of achievements, and it's important, especially any time of the year, to talk about the state employees who I stand on the shoulders of, who put me in the position to be the keeper of the public purse. But we are changing the transmission of our state health plan from Blue Cross Blue Shield to Aetna. Very excited about that. And for all those out there who teach, protect, and otherwise serve, the body of the state health plan is not changing. That's the Board of Trustees who set the premiums and the deductibles. The engine, how we get our money, is not changing, but we're changing the transmission. And we're excited about Aetna bringing us the transparency and the cost savings that we think are necessary on behalf of those that teach, protect, and otherwise serve.
When you talk about cost savings, what does this mean for the average taxpayer?
Well, even though we manage one of the largest pools of public money in the world, $258 billion, 8 times the size of the state budget, it's all about watching the pennies and the paper clips. And this contract is going to save us over $140 million over a 3-year period of time. But more importantly, getting us the transparency that we need. None of your viewers consume health care. It consumes them. And we think this transparency is going to be very important for our state employees to be able to actually shop for health care.
It hasn't come without controversy. Do you feel like when we look back in 10, 15, 20 years, you'll be on the right side of history?
Well, the right side of history is doing what you told the voters you would do, and what your responsibility is, not just to those that teach, protect, and serve, but also the taxpayers like them.
I want to get a little bit personal because you've got some extraordinary stories that folks at home may not know about, one of which is you survived COVID-19 during the pandemic. It almost killed you. How did that change your approach into how you think we should deal with pandemics in the future? Well,
it didn't change my approach, other than the fact that, but for the grace of God and prayers of friends and family, I wouldn't be sitting here. There's something called a D-dimer test, and our D-dimers right now are probably around 400 or 500. Mine was 80,000 in March of 2020. And I asked, how could it be so high? And they said, you're one of the few people who ever survived COVID who were as sick as you were. So how that has changed is based on the fact that, it's really important during any type of crisis like this that we get laser focused on what needs to happen. And as the keeper of the public purse and as the state treasurer of North Carolina, as a member of the Council of State, what happened during COVID, shutting down the schools, which we're having a hard time, I don't think we'll ever recover from that. And other things that were going on in our economy, those were very important issues. And I think your viewers may remember that in 2022, after all that happened in 2021, we nearly had a meltdown in our banking system that would have made what happened after 2008 look very small. So being able to get through COVID and get through that potential run on the banks, not just in North Carolina, but in the United States, is very important.
You have, for many, many years, you and your wife both crusaded for organ donation. Do you mind talking about that? What led you to that, the tragedy in your life?
A couple of things. 25 years ago, our son was boarding a school bus the last week of school, and a person from a foreign country who did not know what a stop arm was in front of our house passed a stop school bus and killed our son Dalton. Knocked him 26 feet out of his shoes. And we were asked when we were told later that day there's nothing they could do for him about donating his organs. And we made that decision to do so. A few years after that, lost a very good friend by the name of Tim Dillon, and Tim was a big motorcycle racer like I am and was, and only through that process did I learn that the heart that millions of North Carolinians have on their driver's license meant nothing to an EMT surgeon, to a trauma surgeon, to an ambulance first responder. That heart on the driver's license had no meaning in the law. So as a legislator, in honor of our son Dalton and my friend Tim, I introduced and passed the Heart Prevails legislation. So now the heart on your driver's license prevails. And what I always say, especially this time of year, especially it relates not just to organ donation, but blood donation, if you would take one, you should be willing to give one. In the first year of the organ donation laws, we had a 59% increase in organ donations across North Carolina.
And that's tangible evidence that that law has saved lives.
It has saved lives, and it's very important. And just a reminder for people not just to put the heart on the driver's license, but also to think this time of year, I gave 2 pints of blood on Sunday, the double reds, to donate blood. When you think about helping people in Western North Carolina, you can think about the roads and the infrastructure and all the cold weather, but you also need to think about the fact there's probably not blood drives going on in Western North Carolina, so the blood supply is very low. Just another opportunity for me to advocate for that. Plus, you get a free bag of cookies.
Always a little humor there from him. Coming up at 5:30, Treasurer Folwell shares some advice for his incoming replacement. And guys, we don't always hear those personal stories from the folks we bring in here. It's so gracious of him to share those tragedies in his life and talk about how it's impacted other people, and hopes to continue to do so long after he's been state treasurer.
Yeah, very, very moving interview. All right, Russ, thanks so much. We appreciate it. That was really, really good.
Yeah.